You guys, the absolute state of American politics in 2025, our forefathers are rolling around in their graves. We just got out of one administration where the entire country's population was gaslit for years about the obvious mental incompetence of the head honcho. Now we're into early days of Trump's second administration, and well, you're about to see how that's going. So, what we're going to listen to now is a clip of a roundtable to celebrate the first 100 days of Trump's second administration. Who we're hearing from is Pam Bondi, our Attorney General. And without further ado, I will start playing the clip.
Far exceeded that of any other presidency in this country. Ever. Ever. Never seen anything like it. Thank you.
So while she's giving this very Kim family over-the-top adulation, I hope you guys can see well against JD Vance. Of course, our vice president is seated next to Pam Bondi. He takes a really strategic sip of his water. I'm going to be charitable and assume that it's water, but I wouldn't really blame him if it were something else. So I do the same exact thing. If I'm at a dinner party and maybe somebody's had a few too many and they're telling like a really outrageous story or a story that I think it maybe in some way embarrasses themselves, like what I'll do is I'll hold whatever I'm drinking up and take a little sip of it so that my facial expression is less obvious, right? So that was really, it actually made me feel for the guy for a minute there.
Your directive to me was very simple. Make America safe. And despite that, we've still been defending over 200 civil lawsuits filed against you. On top of everything else, I think I'm representing every one of you in this room in some capacity.
It's shocking, right? You violate these time-honored principles of separation of powers and, limits on executive authority, and you end up in court all over the place. It's like totally unprecedented, and it definitely means that there's a conspiracy against you.
And no, you will not be arrested by the U.S. Marshals. Over 200 lawsuits, over 50 injunctions, and now we've got multiple cases in front of the Supreme Court, and we will succeed, and we are doing great in front of the Supreme Court, President, and we'll continue on with that.
She needs to be fact-checked on this one. In fact, there have been two really key losses for the administration in April and May of 2025, which I think is probably why she's saying this, right? So in fact, the administration has just had two really important setbacks in their ability to remove people from the country, to deport them without due process. Now, when you hear it at sort of at face value, people might think, okay, they're here illegally. Why do they need due process on the way out? And in a way, I can sympathize with that view. But the thing is, everyone needs due process, because if you don't have due process, the government can move against you. They can accuse you of being here illegally. And without the process to show that you're here legally, you're out before you can do anything to prevent that. So there's a really important reason for why we all need due process, citizen or not.
I was at DEA yesterday, and they said to me, you, Donald Trump, have taken the handcuffs off of DEA agents. And as a result of, since you have been in office, President Trump, your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives.
You ready for this, media? That's 258 million lives saved by these fentanyl seizures. And mind you, I had to look this up. Our current population is 340.1 million. So that means 3 out of every 4 American lives were saved in the first 100 days of the Trump administration. Now, if that weren't one of the biggest, stupidest lies that I've ever heard an elected official or appointee say, that would be the most amazing administration ever, right? Forget about the first 100 days, like even over 4 years. If you save 3 out of every 4 American lives, that would be the achievement of the country's history. But of course, as bad as our drug problem is, no one saved 75% of our country's lives. It is absolute idiocy. And the moment when I heard this, I thought, it can't be that she said this in earnest. Like, it can't be that she actually thought this was true, or even within the realm of truthful hyperbole, which the guy who actually wrote The Art of the Deal said Trump is a huge fan of. Like, I understand they're trying to one-up each other with their achievements and with their praise of what Trump has accomplished, with the royal we. And I just thought, like, it has to be some strategy. She has to be saying something really, really stupid to distract from the fact that they've had all these substantive setbacks lately. But guys, it really is Hanlon's razor. It's like never attribute to premeditation or malice or 3D chess that which can be adequately explained by human stupidity. This is what happens when you become so invested in sort of praising a leader and trying to make everything sound as good as possible, independent of the truth, that your own faculties of reason get shut down and you stop critically evaluating the things that you're saying. This is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard anyone in any administration in any Western democracy say, and the entire world is laughing at us. So at one point later on in this clip, she says, "Why isn't the media reporting on this?" Well, they are, Pam. Like, the media all over the world are reporting on this. Good job.
Kids are dying every day because they're taking this junk laced with something else. They don't know what they're taking. They think they're buying a Tylenol or an Adderall and a Xanax.
She's not wrong. A lot of times these kids think that they're buying other prescription meds. Nobody thinks they're buying a Tylenol. And frankly, I think that's kind of trivializing the problem to act like, we don't have kids so desperate for relief from our mental health epidemic that they're willing to risk their lives for a little bit of escape. But anyway, more importantly, this is not saving anyone's life on the net, because as they're cracking down on fentanyl, what we have is a rise in tranq, in this veterinary anesthetic called xylazine, that was evaluated for use in humans and that was ditched for that purpose because it's so ill-suited, it's so dangerous, it causes these awful skin lesions. I mean, awful. So in parts of the US where tranq is really prevalent in the illicit opioid supply right now, there have been statistically significant increases in the numbers of amputations. It causes really bad combined overdoses, especially when it's with fent, but even on its own, it's a really dangerous chemical. It's basically a surgical anesthetic with really bad side effects that causes awful skin lesions, like I said. So the more fentanyl is cracked down upon, the more tranq is going to become prevalent. In conjunction with that, there's this other class of opioids called the benzimidazole opioids, also known as the nitazines or the Frankenstein opioids. Now, these are several times more potent even than fentanyl. And these are sourced mainly through the dark web. So it's much more diffuse distribution network that's much harder to clamp down on. So what I'm predicting and what we're already seeing is that the nitazines are going to infiltrate our opioid supply as fentanyl is cracked down on. So no one is safer. No one's kids are safer. Just like we didn't get safer when OxyContin was cracked down on and then everyone went to heroin, and then when heroin was cracked down on and everyone went to fentanyl, and now fentanyl is being cracked down on and everyone's going to tranq and nitazines. It's getting worse and worse and worse. The war on drugs is a failure. We need to start looking at why everybody in this country is so darn stressed. Why, the US is like, it's an amazing country to live in if you're in the top 1% to 3%, but it has never ever been such a crappy country to live in if you're an average working Joe, if you're working class or middle class, something that's almost disappearing, right? Our middle class. It's like people are so incredibly stressed out. 42% of Americans have some form of medical debt. Everyone is one sickness away from being homeless. Like, no wonder why people are so, having such difficulties with their mental health. No wonder why they're turning to escape, even if that escape comes at a really high risk. Like, we can't look at addiction as an isolated problem that can be solved just by cracking down on the supply side. Like, cracking down on the supply side can be part of the solution, but like, mainly we need to look at the demand, and we need to figure out, we need to fix rather why it is so tempting for people to get this chemical relief right now. Addiction is a symptom. It is not an isolated problem. It's a symptom of wider ills. We've had a breakdown in community. both political parties right now, again, blue or red, in my opinion, two wings of the same bird, and the same bird cannot fly these days because both parties have been bought out by big banking, big tech, big, just big everything, big pharma, okay? And so because of that, they're dependent on those 30 pieces of silver from those incredibly powerful PACs and super lobbies that you hear about, and they have no reason to care about the interests of the average person. And so because of that, at least since Reagan's days, at least since the 80s, almost every administration has made decisions almost exclusively in the favor of the sort of entrenched elite. Like if there has been an exception to that trend in any given administration, it's been very much a controlled opposition, very much a temporary mitigation of this overall trend. And if we don't fix that, I guarantee you we will not solve the addiction and substance abuse problems in this country. We need to make America livable again. We are going to lose our country if we don't figure this out.